Today's class, like I said, is going to be going over running CMAs and FlexMLS. Previous classes included how to conduct quick searches, general navigation in Flex, running search and subscriptions, saving searches, all that. And I believe this is actually the last one of the year, and so it does help to have a general knowledge of some of those previous items when running a CMA. But don't worry, I'll do a brief overview of any of those, services right there. So, first things first, let's get started by getting into FlexMLS. You do that by going to mlsunited.com, logging in to your dashboard right here, and then when you log in, you'll click FlexMLS, and that'll bring you to the MLS, like so. If this is anyone's first time in FlexMLS, congratulations, welcome. Here's FlexMLS. So, a CMA stands for Comparative Market Analysis. And there's a few different methods of running different types of CMAs in FlexMLS, from super simple, just one-liners, all the way to actual like full-on reports with cover pages and all that. And I'll show you the different ways that you can get in to do each of those. So the first one I'm going to do is arguably, well, not arguably, but in my opinion, like one I would personally use if I were an agent, just for the simplicity of it. And that is the one line CMA. And it's no nonsense. It's not the prettiest looking thing, but it gets the information that I would want when running, like, a CMA, just to kind of like, place a value on, a property. And this can come in handy from the buyer or sell or listing, side of whatever situation you are on. And so before I officially begin, I'm going to do a hypothetical and, like, a reason for why you might be running this CMA. And let's say that you're representing a client on the listing side. They're wanting to sell their house, and any, many realtors have experienced this. They have it in their head that their house is worth about 40 grand more than what the actual market value is, and they don't seem to want to take just your word about saying, hey, that's a little high. So you can now go into Flex and pull comps and see, okay, hey, here are the listings in your neighborhood, similar houses that have all sold in the last, 90 days or, 6 months. And this is what the average pricing was for it. And then that might kind of help, deter them from wanting 40 grand higher than what the actual market value is. So let's do that. Let's say that we're going to use a neighborhood, a local neighborhood that I live around for this example. But let's say that you have a client in a specific subdivision. And they want to sell their house. So, first things first, what you're going to do from the Flex homepage is you're going to conduct a quick search. Okay. And you want to find listings that have sold in that neighborhood in the past, let's say 90 days, but depending on how, popular and busy the, market is, you may want to adjust that a little bit further out. I'm going to do 90 days just because I think plenty have sold in the last 90 days here. But see what have sold in that neighborhood in the last 90 days. So to do that, we're going to go to quick search, which should be on your quick access bar right here at the top in Flex. If you do not see quick search for whatever reason, you can also find it by clicking on the menu button. And then it's going to be under the search category right here, and it should be the first option. And again, if it's not on this top taskbar and you do want it, you can hover over the left of it, and you'll see a little star. And if you click that star, it will add to your quick access bar. But by default, all of you should have quick search on there. So we're going to go into quick search. And again, by default, quick search is going to show residential for the property type. If you're trying to, run comps for a different property type, you can click one dash residential and select the different property types that are available. For today's, we are just going to stick with residential because that's going to be the most commonly, searchable property type. And it sounds like we still have people coming in, so I'm gonna take a sip of this coffee from this product placement, thing right here that says MLS United, and wait for those folks to get in and situated. Okie dokie. Alrighty. So we're going to be looking for closed listings, like I said, in the last 90 days. So if you look here on the left, this is where you put in your search criteria when conducting a quick search, whether it's for active listings or for closed listings. So I'm going to try to zoom in on this for you a little bit. By default, it only is going to have active style, statuses that are selected. So you got active, right of first refusal, and active new construction. You don't need any of those if you're looking for closed listings, but you're like, oh, what do I do? Well, if you click on the actual box that says status, a drop down box will appear with a scroll little section, and you can just scroll down and click on closed. And when you click on closed, what's going to happen is the off market date options will then appear right there. So from here, yours more than likely will look like this. Okay. It'll have a date range, which works fine. You can put in a date range. Me personally, and a lot of people don't know this is an option, but if you click these little shuffle arrows right here, to the left of the date range, it will change to where you can put in days or even months or years back. And if you wanted to change days or months or years, you can just click on the word days and it'll change to months, years, days. I'm going to do days. And like I said, and I'm going to put in 90 days right there. And again, if that was too fast, yours looks like this by default. If you click the little shuffle arrows, it will change it to where you can put in days back. So, all right. So far we have closed listings in the last 90 days, and that's all we have so far. So right now our results are still like 4,000. So we're going to scroll down, and this is going to narrow it down quite a bit. And we're going to go ahead and put the subdivision in. Now, depending on the type of subdivision that it is, some subdivisions might be those ones that have like, a variety of different houses. So, if it's a subdivision that has, $600,000 houses, but then it also has $300,000 houses, realistically, you should, not should, that might sound condescending. You probably know which price range that house is going to be in. So you might need to set a minimum or a maximum price value when conducting this, but it just honestly depends on the situation and the subdivision that you're looking in. So, like I said, I'm going to put in a local subdivision around here. And so, in the last 90 days in this subdivision right here that have closed, we have 4 listings that have closed. That might be good enough for you to work with right here, and we'll keep it on there for this example. Now, you have the results, and after you're putting in the subdivision, you have the results, but all you see is a map here on the side. Well, if you want to look at the listings before running any type of reports, just click right here on the right of them over the map and select list, or you could even select detail. So as you can see here, there's a pretty big price variety in this. And so if you're like, I wonder what the differences are on these, well, you can now click on detail and click and go, okay, 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 got it. So maybe like your client's house is closer to like these ones that are in like the three in the 294 one right here. And you know that. So what you would do is you would just select those two by clicking a little check mark here. And then once those are selected, this is why this CMA report generation for this first one is my favorite because it can be done in literally like 10 seconds. So you select what listings you want to do. And then over on the top right, there is literally a button called CMA. You can click it and you have a CMA menu that will pop up. So CMA menu right here, we'll get to the use all results and use selected because that's for running bigger CMAs. But this first one I'm showing you is the one line CMA. And that one right here, if you just click where it says one line CMA, a printable CMA, just basic report will pop up and it'll give you a breakdown of the general information on on those properties. And then at the bottom, it will give you the averages here. So you can see the average square feet, the average price, the average days on market, the original list price, the average closing price. all that. So if your client has a very similar house to one of those houses and they think they're like, no, I'm not going to accept anything less than 375 for it, but then you run comps on houses that are very, very similar to it, then right here, when this pulls up and it shows 306 as the average closing price, that might kind of put them in a reality check of sorts. We have a chat question. Somebody asked what the subdivision name was. The subdivision I used for this example was called Dickens Place, but you can do any other subdivision as well because there's a neighborhood. Actually, my neighborhood is like shares basically a street with Dickens Place, so the houses are very similar. So what you could do is in the quick search right here, which if you didn't see what I just did there, I just clicked back into the tab here and clicked on edit search right here. And that's how you can go back and adjust your search. Like if you didn't have, enough like decent results for it, you can go back and edit your search accordingly. So, and that's what we're going to do as well. So I'm going to add an additional subdivision that shares, basically is right beside Dickens Place, and we're going to do Cherry Tree. We're going to do Cherry Tree Park. Okay, and so now that got it up to 7. And then realistically, that your client's house probably is, not going to be over a certain amount. So you can also click on price right here and then put a minimum or a maximum of, 400. You could also put a minimum, but realistically speaking, houses in those neighborhoods probably aren't going to be any type of like, rundown fixer upper because they're all fairly new. But again, that's going to be the circumstantial, search that you got to do. If you know that, a neighborhood's been around for 40 years, there might be some fixer uppers in there. And so you might want to set a minimum value of, like 270, just something like that. It's completely up to you. Oh, that actually did adjust my search results. Maybe I was lying. So, but now you have 4 results right here. You can click on list again. And then now you see, okay, yeah, these are all pretty similar here. Let's do a one line CMA. Click CMA again right there. And then the CMA menu pops up, one line. And then now you have well, I didn't check the ones that I added. All right. Make sure you check the ones that you added. Click on the CMA button, one line. And then voila, it will pull right here. So now, this adjusted your price a little bit. So where it's like, okay, an average closing price of 326, which means that the price per square foot increased by a few dollars right here. And this will just kind of really help get an idea of what a property might be worth. And so that is one line CMA right there. Like I said, it's my favorite one just because of how quick and easy it actually is. Because, again, I understand people are busy. You may not want, like, or your client prop might not care, like, if you have like, fancy charts and graphs and all that. They just want to know, hey, what are the houses going for in this? You can go into Flex, run one of these in under 5 minutes and get results back to your client as fast as possible, and even print this out and bring it to them and show them a breakdown and be like, hey, this is what this looks like. So that's the first CMA. That it was a one line CMA. Now the next CMA we're going to run is going to be done in a similar fashion. We're going to pick up a bunch of search results here, but this time we're actually going to run a full, like, or like a CMA report. And there's a few different types of reports and different ways that you can go about doing an actual, like, full blown CMA report in Flex. So let's go back into Quick Search and start that process. Now, we're going to, once again, we're going to go to closed listings. And now we're going to broaden the search just quite a little bit here, or change it up at least. We're still going to stick with 90 days back to try to get the most accurate, like up to date pricings. And then we have 90 days back. But let's say that you're representing a buyer maybe, and they want to know like, what some average like pricing is like in the area under, a certain amount for a certain amount of acreage. So let's say they don't want to spend any more than 450, but they at least need 1 acre. So we have 90 days back, current price no more than 450. And they're open to the entire county of, let's see, we'll do DeSoto County right here. So you can put in the county, no more than 450, and they want at least 1 acre. So on approximate lot size acres, I'm going to put one right there. So that narrowed it down to 65. Um, I'm gonna shoot for trying to get around like 10 or so listings. So I'm gonna narrow this down a little bit more. Let's go with cities. Let's say they want Hernando. All right, that narrowed me down to 19. So that should be good enough as it is. Right there. We'll work with 19 listings. So we have 19 results. And just to break it down, closed listings in the last 90 days, no more than 450. Obviously, DeSoto, since I selected Hernando. And then we wanted at least 1 acre. And let's see what happens when I change that to 2 acres. There we go, 12. That's a little bit more, that's a little bit easier to work with. So we got 2 acres minimum. Let's take a look at the houses here. Okay. Okay. Right there. All right. Let's look at some details on it. And then you can go through these. And this is the difference between running something like this versus like a quick CMA is you might want to take a little bit more time on these just to kind of get an idea on, on what your client is looking for, like, size wise. So like we can add that one, add that one. We can add that one, that one, that one, and that one. And so with your listing selected, we have 6 of them. Let's run an actual CMA. So we're going to click on the CMA button again and bring up the CMA menu. Now this time, since we're running a little bit more detailed CMA report, what we're going to do is if you are cool with all of the results, you can select use all results. In this case, I did select the certain ones I want, so I'm going to say use selected. And then now you will be brought to the actual like create CMA like section of Flex. And these are those options that I mentioned that Flex has for it. So you have a full CMA option, a quick CMA, and a statistical CMA. Now, the full CMA and quick CMA are essentially the same type of report that is generated in regards to the way it looks. The difference is with the full CMA, you fully customize the way that that thing looks and like what's included and whatnot versus a quick CMA. Flex basically does all of the work for you. So when people would, call and like want to run a CMA, I actually always directed them to the quick CMA because it honestly would include like everything I would want in a bigger CMA report. So what I'll do is I'll do a quick CMA and show you how easy that is to run, and then we'll go back and I'll show you the full, and then I'll show you statistical. And statistical is similar to the one line, except it's a little bit more detailed and, in my opinion, more professional looking. So it's kind of up to you which one of those you'd want to use. But for right here, we're going to do a quick CMA. Now, statistical average field, this is used to calculate the price per field in the overall statistical analysis. And I would always recommend just keeping it on square footage because it'll be based on the price per square foot. So notice I clicked on that next and it brought you to this page here and you're like, what is this? If you had clicked full CMA, you would have started at this very first tab here. But since we selected quick CMA, or it would have brought you to the cover page section right here. But since we clicked on quick CMA, it brings you right to the finish. So with a quick CMA, it takes off the cover page and it doesn't include a map of the subject properties. So if you want that included, you can always check it. And what's great is you can check this and, or keep it unchecked and then, scroll down and click on view right here because it's already ran for you. You just either need to save it or view it or send it off. So if you click on view, this is what will pop up for you. So from the start, it'll give you the comparable properties with the primary photos. Do then, excuse me, 1 second. Sorry, allergies or weather has got my sinuses all jacked up. But anyway, so it has the primary photos with the general property breakdown under each one. And then here's that graph that I mentioned. Some people may or may not want, but it'll give you a nice little breakdown graph, low, average, medium, and high prices, and then summary of the closed listing, low, average, median, and high comparisons, and overall market analysis. So this is what it looks like on an actual computer screen. But if you were to go to print it, it'll give you a print preview, and you can print it like this, or you could even print it in landscape mode, and it might look a little bit better on landscape mode. So this is something you can either print out or email out to your client and present to them, or if you're doing it for your own purposes, by all means, you got it. So that was that preview. Now, as I said, you can add a cover page or a map. Let's see what happens when you check on map. Let's hit view. So now it brings up a map with different numbers on it, and each of those numbers will be right here so you can see where each of these are located. And again, it just adds to that CMA report. And again, there's no cover page. So let's click cover page right here, hit view again, and see what happens. Okay, pretty basic right here. So nothing too crazy. Let's hit control print. Yeah. So right there. And then you can also change like the different color themes right here. So we hit twilight. I don't know what that did. I don't think that did anything because we didn't customize our cover page too much here. So yeah, but that's the quick CMA, kind of no nonsense to the point. So let's return to search results, leave. I'm going to exit some of these tabs out. Alrighty. So as we're going, let's see here. Alrighty. So they said they used to be able to adjust price per acre and or price per square foot. How do you do that in Flex? So I mean, if you're doing it running a CMA, we're gonna hit CMA again, hit use selected, and then we'll do quick CMA. So right here, the statistical average field, if you want to change that to price per acre, let me see if that's an option. Yep, approximate lot size acre. So let's see there. So that's where you could add that into it if you wanted to adjust it by price per acre, which that might come in handy more when you're running like land. Um, and as a matter of fact, I think if you're running a land listing, it might automatically put that in there for you. But that's where you would select lot size acre instead of approximate square footage right there. So let's return to search results. Now, let's go through just the full CMA now. And so we're going to click CMA again, and we're going to click on Use Selected. And now you have a full CMA. So we're going to select that, keep it on price per square foot since we're doing residential, and then we're going to hit Next. So as you can see, it brought you to that similar page, but instead of being at the finish, it automatically did a cover page. Most of the time, Hang on, we have a longer question. Let me read that real quick. Yes. So somebody mentioned about having difficulty finding comps, possibly for like new construction, or if it's a very like unique kind of house or just area with not too many I guess sold properties, and they want to know how you can run a radius search. Yes, I can absolutely show you how to do a radius search when to get the results prior to the CMA. I'll run through that after we go over this full CMA for you. So, alrighty. So when creating a full CMA, this is where you actually can break down and have a little bit more detail in it. So you can have a title for it, like comparable market analysis. That sounds nice and fancy for let's say the Smith family. And then prepared by, you can either click your name like that, or the generic business card that Flex has for you. And then if there's any comments you want to add to it, you absolutely can. And we're going to hit next. Now, the subject property would be if you were trying to actually find comparables based around a subject property that you already have. So you can add that in here. However, in my opinion, doing it based on a subject property in Flex is most beneficial when a property has been in Flex before. Outside of that, you might be better off just doing it the way that we've set it up by finding actual closed listings that are in the area or in the same subdivision or similar houses and doing it from there. So we're not going to add a subject property, but if you did have a subject property you wanted to, find and pull comparables for, you could hit auto populate fields from existing listing right here, and then just put the MLS number, and that would add it to, and it would even give you an option to find comps, which I can show you an example of as well in just a second. But for here, we're just gonna keep going. All right, let's see here. Yep. This is what all these items are going to be included. You can add, or if you wanted to add new items, remove items, like that. And so if that all looks good, just hit next. Hang on. I think it tried to think I was trying. Oh, maybe you do need to put a subject property anyway. Why did it pop up my? So we're just going to do this one. Two. Okay. Alrighty. So I think it does want you to actually put a subject property you're comparing it to. So probably like a client's house. Hit next. The geolocator will pop up to say, hey, is this where this property is located? Say, yep, use this selection or use this location. And then it will say, please select comparable listings. So right here are the listings that we found. You can go through and check or uncheck. I'm actually going to uncheck this one because I know for a fact the subject property is not in the fours. So we're going to hit next. And then this is where you can really just kind of break down if you needed to make adjustments to anything. Like if you know for a fact, like, one of these properties actually isn't two bedrooms, but it's three, you can adjust it right there. Right here, right here, right here. If everything looks good there, then you can scroll down to hit next. All right, this will give you a summary of everything. Scroll down, hit next. And then subject property listing recommendations. So when it comes to listing recommendations from CMA reports, this is the best. I mean, I'm not someone to tell anyone how to do their job, okay? But whether you're pulling a CMA report in Flex, in Cloud CMA, in RPR, anything like that that pulls reports, please take listing recommendation or price recommendations with a grain of salt, of course. Okay. But that's why I like Flex, because it does give you the low and the high of it, and then an actual recommended amount. So that kind of helps, people make decisions. But who was it? I think it was what agent was it? Jeff Jones. I'll give him a call out. He was teaching in our class on RPR one time, and he said something that I now recommend to people, and that's run different CMAs in different systems. So like you can run one in Flex. Like if you're truly trying to find the best price, run like three different CMAs in three different systems and take the recommended price of those and then get kind of an average from that, and that'll help kind of adjust it. And that was some of the best advice like I'd ever heard like an agent give. And I was like, yeah, that makes total sense. But yeah, so that's going to give you the recommended price. We'll go ahead, hit next. Now, now that we're on the finish page, and since we're doing a full, you can see a lot more items are displayed right here, or are checked. Not so right here, you're like, okay, let's view it. So now you can see it's going to have like the full maps. It's going to have different like the photos, and this full CMA also includes a quick breakdown of the MLS detail report for all this. So if you really want to print it off and have the details of everything, then it absolutely will have it. Now you notice that these are printing the public version of these. So, because that's a question I've gotten before is, hey, are these detail reports going to have that other agent's like, the listing or the selling agent's information on there? And that's no. These are, public styled reports, like in regards to what's actually shown. So you don't have to worry about it, showing, listing agent information and all that. When if you ever present these to your clients. So that is something that we have been asked before. So, yep. So that's the quick or the full CMA, and I'm going to give advice on this the same thing that I like the same way I do with a lot of different aspects of Flex, and that is get in here and mess around with it, and that's the best way you're going to learn like how to use anything. At least for me, like I didn't even know like coming like when I first started in the MLS world like years ago. When I first got hired, I was hired as a communications person. I did not even know what an MLS was. And so I ended up watching videos and trying to learn it like, like that. And then I found I was like, all right, let's just get in here and make some. You can't mess it up. Like if you mess one up, delete it. Or it'll just save as a draft, even if you don't save it right here. So speaking of which, let's say that you had this report, but like, ready to rock and roll, but there's still some stuff you want to do before you go to print, or you're not near a printer or something, and you're like, all right, what do I do here? I need to save it. Well, there's a save button right here. Click on save. You can say CMA name, Smith, not Sith, Smith family, um, CMA report, November, and then hit save. All right. And so now it'll be saved under CMAs. So, if you ever want to, say you got to go to your office and, log into Flex to print it out, you log into Flex and it looks like this. And you're like, where do I go to find my CMAs? Any saved CMAs can be found by going to menu, and then under search, there is a item that says CMA. Click on CMA, and then voila, it's going to be right there. You can from there you can view it or you can edit this current CMA. Completely up to you, and that's how you can access it. So that's the quick CMA and the full CMA. I will get to the statistical CMA, but I do not want to forget this person's question right here. Okay. Somebody asked, how do we do adjustments in the full CMA? It depend. I mean, depends on what type of adjustments you're wanting to do on it. But to go into a CMA to make any edits, you can go here, click on the actual CMA, hit edit at the bottom right. That might have been too fast. Let me go back. So all right. So menu, CMA, and then find the CMA you're wanting to make changes to. Click on it, hit edit, And then from here, it's going to be on the finish, but you can do any type of, adjustments, whether it's removing fields, adjusting acreage on something right here. So, right. And then on the adjust, it's like to enter an adjustment amount, confirm the field is selected, and then type in a positive or negative amount. So, like if, like let's say this one right here, you know for a fact that it's, more square footage than that. You could say it's plus 500, you know, and make the adjustment accordingly that way. You're built. If you see like this house right here and you're like, that was not built in 95, the public tax records show that it was built in 97. You could say 1997, you know, and then if you just type in a number, it'll automatically add the plus right there. Right. So, to do. All right. City. Okay. Now, radius search. Somebody asked when conducting these closed listings, let's do a radius search real quick. This was actually something I went over in my search and subscriptions, but this will flow right with, or not search and subscriptions, but how to do a quick search class. But this will flow right with the last CMA report I'm going to show you, which was that statistical CMA. So let's say that same thing as before. Um, First things first, before you do a radius search, are you looking for active listings or are you looking for closed listings? So we're going to do closed listings. And I always recommend breaking your search down slightly before doing a radius search just to make your life easier. And what I mean by that is right now I have closed listings. MLS United's a large database, okay? So it's going to have listings all over this map here. So let's at least break it down to the county that you're looking in, or maybe the city, whatever it is you are, like what area you're trying to find. So for here, we'll just do DeSoto again, or we'll change it up. I think let's do Madison. Okay, so if you're now in the Madison area, we have closed listings. Scroll up, click. There we go. All right, the thing kind of glitched out on me. We got closed listings in Madison, and I'm again going to do 90 days back. So now that we did 90 days back, broke it down a little bit more, you can see the dots. But let's zoom in, and you can zoom in on your map by either clicking the plus or the minus button right here, or if you have a scroll wheel on your mouse or even a laptop, you could, do pinch and zoom as long as you're clicked in the map. But so let's say that you're only interested in a radius search, around, here. Okay. And I'm going to show you two different methods for radius searches. I'm going to show you this way to actually just draw a circle around some closed listings, but then I'm also going to show you how you can do it from an actual subject property. So just to conduct a basic radius search, what you'll do is find the area you're looking for with the closed listings. And then on the right, bottom right of your map, you have this toolbar here. And this toolbar has a few shape icons, a square, a circle, and a polygon. So for a radius, we're going to click on the circle. And then we're just going to find where you kind of want the center to be. Let's say you want it to be around this area. And then we're just going to pull out. And as you pull out, it'll, like the larger it gets, it'll do it within miles. So, 1.2, we got 1.5 miles. So once it's clicked and selected, double click it to add to your search. And then it might take it a second for the map to adjust, or you might need to zoom out slightly just to kind of see your radius. But that will be a 1.5 radius from wherever you clicked and dragged in the last 90 days, closed. And then these are all the listings right here. And you can look at them in a list view right there. And voila. So that's one way to do a radius. The other way is to do it based on an actual subject property, and that's what we're going to run the statistical CMA from. So let's say that you have a client, their listing is new, or a new construction home, and it's never been in the MLS before, and you don't really know like how the best way to find comps other than searching the surrounding areas. So what you're going to do is in the MLS, go to quick search, and we'll adjust this on the left here in a second. But first things first, let's find that subject property. And we'll do that by going back to this toolbar here on the left or on the right of the map. And then below the shapes, there is a red pin icon right here. And that is the locate address button. And if you click it, a box will pop up, and this will be the locate address box. So all you have to do is just type in your address. And yes, I'd recommend putting all the info in there, including city and whatnot. So we're going to type in an address like so. South Haven, Mississippi, 2. So put in that and then hit locate. And what it's going to do is it's going to locate on your map, pin down. Now, if for some reason the pin is in a different place, you can click and move it around if you would like, completely up to you. But as long as it's in Google Maps, it'll pop up on this. If it's not in Google Maps, I recommend finding the nearest address that is and conducting the search from there, or just, doing that click and drag method I showed you a second ago. But for here, we're going to hit use this location. And now you don't even have to click the circle tool on the right, because when you click use this location, you get some options right here on this box that pops up. And the first option literally says radius search. So I'm going to click radius search, and then it'll say, hey, how far of a radius or how big of a radius do you want this to be? And let's just do a half mile right here, and just to see kind of what we're working with, and click on create radius. So now it's going to create a radius, and then it should zoom out if everything works okay, but we'll zoom out if it doesn't manually. So you can see, okay, it created this radius for me. I can see it right here. The shape has been added to my search right here on the left. Okay. But it still has the status of active. So let's just click on the status, clicked on closed. We'll do 180 days back. So now you can see from a half mile radius in the last 180 days from that subject property, you have 11 listings that have been sold. So we're going to use that, and I'm going to show you how to do that statistical CMA, or just what it looks like. Because at this point, you know what a CMA is and what they do. Now I'm just going to show you that other option for one. So from here, we're going to click the CMA button again. And then we'll go ahead and just click use all results this time. Instead of selected, like, we'll just say use all results, because it's only 11 of them. And then now I showed you full, I showed you quick. Let's do a statistical one right here, and then hit next. So, and this is the difference between the statistical and the quick is, like I said, it looks a little different. It basically is the same thing, but with statistical, you have a few other options. So, like, total statistics, you can check or uncheck that. Most people are going to at least want the total statistics there and include total rows at the bottom. But you could also include listing information on them. You can include Fannie Mae reports, for filing, appraiser reports if you're an appraiser. Uh, median calculations, if you wanted any of that. For here, we're just going to keep these two checked just so I can show you what a basic statistical CMA looks like. And then this is what it looks like right here. It just cuts right to the chase, shows you closed, and then overall averages right here. Now, if let's say you wanted that individual listing information. So I went back to the tab because this opened as a new tab for me. Let's say you want individual listing information and hit view on that. There we go. I was like, where to go? So this would be one maybe you might want to print out. Like me personally, I like this and like, what it looks like. So and then you can go through, analyze, the listings and whatnot, and see if there's any significant differences, but it'll give you those totals. Then let's see, you can do median calculations, view. Gonna have that. And then now median has right here has been added to that. So again, that is just the statistical CMA, very similar to the quick, or not, yeah, to the quick, but with a little bit more, customization options there for you. And when you do any of these CMAs, you can like I've been doing this whole time. I click view because I always like to see what something looks like before I make the official decision to print it. But you can also just print directly from Flex, and it basically will just pop up. And then this is what a statistical CMA will look like. So yeah, so that's the statistical. As I mentioned, we have full, quick, and statistical, and then also the you do the one line CMAs. Now, I understand that running CMAs, you have a lot of different options, and there's a lot of different ways. You could dive into, different ways to customize them. Like I said, get in there, mess around with it. One item I'm going to leave you with before I open it up for general Q&A is the recommendation that I have recommended in every single one of these classes that I've taught. And that is, if you ever, if some months go by and you forgot anything that I said, and keep in mind, this will be on YouTube as well, that we're going to post it. But if you ever need, help in Flex, I highly recommend the video training section in Flex. Okay. So if you're in Flex MLS, all right, we'll just go back to the homepage here, and you click on help and then click on video training under the help button. Flex has an entire library full of different videos like that you can learn different items within Flex, okay, including, and you have a search bar at the top. You just type in CMAs. So, or CMA. Like literally, they have a 45-minute video, Flex Fundamentals, the full CMA. If you wanted to learn more about running a full CMA, one-click comparables, learn to run a CMA in 3 minutes. That is a very misleading title because the video is literally 14 minutes long, but it's only 14 minutes. Check it out. Highly recommend. And the reason I do that is because, as I mentioned earlier, when I graduated college and got a communications position at the Northwest Board of Realtors, I thought, oh, that's awesome. And then when I started, they were like, hey, you talk a lot. You're going to be the MLS guy and teach MLS classes. And my response to that was, what is an MLS? I had no idea what that meant. And so a few months later, this little thing called COVID happened. And that means that we all went remote for a year. Well, it got a little slow on some days when that happened. So I literally spent my days watching every single one of these video training videos. That way I could learn the system in and out because there were no in-person, things that I could help people with. I was trying to navigate people over the phone all day. And so I needed to know the system inside and out. And the video training is literally how I did that. So highly recommend video training. So question. Somebody asked, what's the benefit of statistical versus full and quick? It's honestly subjective on that. It's kind of user preference. Um, if you're a person who could care less about having like colored graphs and whatnot on yours, you just kind of want it just down, like just instant and whatnot, then you can run a statistical or even a one line CMA. It's different options for it. It all basically gives you the same data, just how it's all in how it's presented. So if it's for a client that could care less, then cool. But if you're really wanting, if it's a new person you're wanting to impress, and whatnot, then, and you want to have a full blown report, like looking like, you have everything, then maybe a full or a quick might be your way. If it's, for somebody that's, chill, then you could just give them a statistical or a one line, and that'll be, suffice for them. So, but it's basically user preference and just shows that Flex has different options for running CMAs. So, good question. So, like I said, we're now done with the CMA portion of today's class, but I am going to leave it open for any questions you want to add in the chat. Feel free to ask them on the actual mic if you would like. Completely up to you. If you have no questions and I've just done a fantastic job, then just give me a nice little clap and you're free to go. Up to you on that. But I'm going to stick around for a few minutes just in case any more questions want to come. Oh, yay. I forgot Zoom had the clap thing. Thank you. Hello. I like that. When did I did not? I guess I don't do as many Zoom meetings anymore. I didn't even know they had the little graphic clap things. That's cool.
It's down at the bottom where it says reaction.
I see it now. So I
Mhm.
never react. I'm always the one like talking on Zoom. I'm never really attending Zoom things, I guess.
But you had to have your camera on in order for it to do those.
It's interesting.
Mhm. Yep. Thank
Pretty
you. This was great. Appreciate it. How
yeah.
often do you do these?
So we've been doing them once a month. Now I think for December we decided because typically like even in-person class turnouts are low in December for just, the general real estate industry. So I don't think we have one in December. If we do, no one's told me. But we've been trying to do at least one of these once a month. I'm thinking we're gonna look at different classes for next year. I'll definitely probably have the last few I've done in rotation, and then I'm gonna be talking to the MLS and all that about doing some in person, maybe like a road show, like in person trainings as well. Because as
Mm,
much as virtual is fun, I much prefer in person teaching. Because I like to move around and because I do not sit still very well.
mm. Well, this is a good option,
Oh
just
yeah, no, and this gives everyone
being
and like the
busy.
option because we have folks from North, Central,
Oh,
and the Gulf all in one. It saves me drive time too because I do not have a gas-friendly vehicle, but I love to drive.
yeah. I was doing, I get a lot of, those that don't have the, that are in new construction and
Yeah.
nothing is sold, and so it's been really challenging. So I was able to go out there on YouTube
Hmm.
and I found somebody that was teaching and you put in it because I always put in a subject property and then
Yeah.
work because I don't live in Mississippi, but it's right next
Right.
door. So
Yeah.
it's a little different. But I love how Flex MLS does stuff. It's just a little learning curve
Hmm.
versus Tennessee, but
Oh, yeah. If you're going from Paragon to Flex, I completely
yeah.
get it. Because, like, as much knowledge that I have with Flex, I've always told people, like, oh, they're like, oh, you're an MLS genius. I'm like, yes and no. If you were to sit me down in front of Paragon or Navica, one of those systems, I would be a lost puppy. Let me tell
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, Flex has been a bit of a learning curve, but it's too because when I became a new agent, my broker sat down and walked us through how to use
Good.
and all of that.
That is
So,
amazing. I wish all brokers would do that. That is amazing.
but on the Mississippi side, it's just been a little different. But
Yeah.
y'all do offer training, and your training's free in Mississippi and Tennessee. Everything costs. So,
Yeah, yeah. I will brag. Now this isn't MLS, but this is the Northwest board. Like they are awesome, and they offer so many classes for agents. And again, I'm biased because that's the office and board I worked at for 6 years. So but everyone with the MLS is also super awesome, and the MLS is trying to follow suit with that and like offer like more and more classes. That's why we're doing stuff like what I'm doing today, and then we're going to be talking about doing some other, obviously the virtual stuff, but more in-person options as well, just to give people as many resources as possible, that doesn't break the bank or cost anything. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a
absolutely
great
appreciate you.
weekend. Peace
So
out.
but all
I
right,
have a
everybody, well,
question.
yes ma'am.
Okay, so it's not particularly related to a CMA, but kind of sort of in a way, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, I'm getting ready to run a search on a property, but my client is looking for a place to house his horses.
Okay.
Is there a place on here where I can, when I'm running, looking active on the market, where I can select to look for houses with barns or
Yes.
stables or something like that?
Yes. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're in quick search here, If you're breaking down your search on the left and you don't see a certain field, you can click add a field right here at the bottom, the blue button. And then as you can see here, it's not missing fields. So right here, it's going to be called barn dominium or architect. Let's see, barn, house, other structures. So I would add barns to other structures or horse amenities as well. Because here's the thing: if somebody has a house for sale and it has a functioning barn on the property, that agent is going to add barn and horse, or at least other structures. So I would like add those, maybe not like, add those, maybe uncheck one, see what the results are, add them both, see what the results are. Because as like I said, they should add that in there, but unfortunately, a lot of the times you are at the mercy of how detailed the listing agent for those properties are. So, but that's how you can find anything with a barn like feature. So, like you can even add barn, horse amenities or other structures. That's what I would recommend. Don't do architectural style barn dominium because that is talking about the actual house itself. But right here, horse amenities and other structures, I would add that to your search, and that'll show anything with a barn dominium on the property.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question. Yeah, those are the options for adding a barn. I don't think there's any other fields that would specifically, say that other than making sure there's acreage on it, of course. But somebody asked how far out do you recommend going on the radius search in order to get the best comps? That is purely up to the area you were searching in. So, like when I did my example earlier, I used my neighborhood, but my neighborhood are just, basic, family homes that are on quarter acre lots. So, when I do a half-mile radius on that, I'm going to get a lot more results than, let's say, like the house I grew up in at my mom's house in Olive Branch. It's a 3 acre land, plot of land with a house on it, and all of the surrounding houses are also 3 acres. So you might need to expand that search out a little bit. Just kind of depends solely on the area you're searching in. Good question, but and that's why I always recommend clicking on that list view and kind of just going through the houses because if collectively, let's say you got 10 results and they're all in the 300 or 400 thousands, but then you got one in there that's like 700,000, maybe remove that 700,000 so it doesn't skew your results a little bit. But yeah, it's completely circumstantial on the area you are searching in. Good question. So. Alrighty. Well, if there are no more questions, everybody, then I am going to end the meeting now. Thank you for anyone that's left for joining today. Thanks for attending, and I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving and Christmas, which is right around the corner as well. And I will see you guys all later.